lót tổ nô ta đôi mà thanh yam mê wa are giao át thang đi cao mẹ cô át thang đi ca mẹ từ khô thô chia lâu miền ong pram bay đập ra xa ni ai hào tha tây cây pra tây bạc chia cần đà say ya thay tiếng át thang đi ca mẹ nô đôi mà đây là sam ma tên thế prai nhà yol khơi trơ sam ma sang cáp bao tây cây trẻ rê trơ sam ma vía cha tầm đây trơ sam ma cam mần tao hàng nghĩa trơ sam ma a chi vô kệ gia chỉnh chấm chi vật trơ sam ma vía như một chia diệm trơ sam ma sa tê tây cây rồi lắc trơ sam ma ti kệ gia đồng co chân oi nâng trơ ai yang thọ sa phi ca về mai chi vía pa đê pa tia ta tha ga tê na a phi tam po tia cha câu ca này nhia na ca này upasama ya phanh nhia ya sam po tia ya nam phia nia ya sang va ta tê mà niệm thi co chẳng lai a thang ki ca mẹ ni ai tại hao tha tây cây pra tây bát chia cần ta tại ta tha con tan tra đằng hai chia tây cây pra tây bát vợ ai cả phanh nhà cha khó vợ ai cả tây cây đằng ba pra con rồi mai pra pra tơ tam bay tây cây ngọc rong hoa tam bay tây cây đằng chấm bùa tam bay tây.
For the Dhamma discussion. Welcome to Dhammika Live Dhamma Sandhana program. Before we begin our discussion, I would like to inform that this program brought to you by the Dhammika Live Foundation, led by Venerable Master Soktivi, who currently reside at Wat Mai Hawaii Buttiram. This program purposely aimed at propagating the Buddha teaching in both language, Khmer and English. The language shift interchangeably every Fridays at 8 p.m. Cambodia time, 6 a.m. Seattle time, and somehow very early in Hawaii at 3 a.m. And our main purpose to disseminate Buddhism locally and internationally, to bring the attention, the essence of the Buddha teaching that is applicable to the daily life in society, and especially among the youth, to promote peaceful and mindful living through ethics, concentration, and wisdom, or in Khmer, Sal Samadhi Panya. Today, we are very pleased to present to you a very important topic, and it's also timely. Why? Because it's will happening next week. So the topic entitled Kaṭhina Dāna, or simply it means robe offering ceremony. What is robe offering ceremony? We will explore together with our Dhamma speakers, and tonight or in the morning in United States, it is such a great privilege for us to have invited our Dhamma speakers to join with us. So let me introduce to you first. We have Phonte Kassapa on camera. My respect to you, Phonte. And Phonte is the Executive Director of the International Cambodian Buddhist Center based in Sri Lanka. Phonte is also a meditation trainer. Phonte is advisor of the Supreme Monk and Vipassana Turiya Buddhist Center, in charge of Vipassana Turiya for Vipassana Turiya Buddhist Center in Udong of Cambodia. Next, we have Phonte Soktivi. My respect to Phonte. Phonte TV is the founder of Dhammika Life Foundation, a non-for-profit organization aiming at promoting Buddha teaching. Phonte is leading and teaching Buddhism in English to help Dhamma friends to better understand not only the English terminology, but also the Buddha teaching. Phonte's latest publication is the Dhamma terminology that available in Khmer Pali, Romanized Pali, Khmer English. currently, Ponte is residing at Wat Khmer, Hawaii, Butharam, based in Hawaii, a very beautiful island. I have never been there, but I would like to explore one day. So, without further ado, I would like to begin our discussion. And again, to our audience, let me remind our discussion is on Kaṭhina Dāna, or robe offering ceremony. So my first question will go to Phante Kassapa. Given our topic, can you help to literally explain us what is Kaṭhina Dāna, or robe offering ceremony, Phante? The floor goes to you, Phante.
Yeah, thank you, sister, for the question. So at the inception, I would like to pay homage to the triple gem, Buddha, the Dhamma, and Sangha, and dear Venerable Sirs, and especially Venerable people of TV, my co-speaker, and friends in Dhamma around the globe, and Sister Joseph, the moderator. Before answering the question, let me very briefly explain the background or the historical background of Kaṭhina ceremony, how this particular festival, Buddhist festival, came to existence. So at the Buddha's time, robes are not that so much as today. It's very rare, and it was the raining season, and there was a group of monks decided to meet the Buddha, but unfortunately it was the day that all monks had to observe the rainy retreat. So they observed the rainy retreat. So after the rainy retreat, they went to meet the Buddha, but at that time their robes were wet and were dirty. So by that, particular incident, Buddha decided and make a rule that monks are allowed to organize, to perform the Kaṭhina festival. It means that monks are allowed to accept extra robes on this particular day. So when it comes to the Kaṭhina ceremony, or as the direct translation, robe offering ceremony, robe can be offered, every day, anytime, wherever you want. But the special, sign of Kaṭhina ceremony is robes. It can be, inner robe. It can be the I forgot the term for this. It's robe. Yeah, it's robe. Can be, can be offered anytime, but during Kaṭhina ceremony, it's become very special. It's become very special. Before answering that, I want you to make it very clear. Let us draw a very straight and distinctive line between the term Kaṭhina Dāna and Kaṭhina Kamma. So Kaṭhina Dāna means whatever offering you will make, on the day of Kaṭhina, it can be considered as Kaṭhina Dāna. So Kaṭhina, the technical term is solid, or the technical translation, but in our context is about robe offering. So whatever you make, whatever offering you make on this day, it's called Kaṭhina Dāna. But this specific offering can be made only once a year. At one temple can be done only for one time. You cannot do it twice or 3 times or 4 times, only 1 time. And the special character is, in order to do so, monks have to observe the rainy retreat for 3 months without breaking the rules. No, they have to remain in the temple, they have to practice, they have to follow the rules. And if there are any monks who break the rule, that certain monk is not allowed to receive the offering, whatever offering people made. It means that they are not the shareholders of the Kaṭhina offering. So this is very specific. So let me, but Kaṭhina Karma is referring to the monk's obligation. It's a monk responsibility. Like you mean after receiving the robe, so whatever they do is the monk duty. It's the monk duty. So what I want to specify is whether the monks observe the rules or break the rules. It's their duty. It's their responsibility. But whatever you observe on the day of Kaṭhina ceremony at any monastery, at any temple, it can be considered as Kaṭhina ceremony. So let me wrap up again. Kaṭhina Dāna, or the offering during the Kaṭhina day, is a special offering because it can be done once a year, 1 time at 1 place, and monks have to observe the rainy retreat for 3 months. Then after the rainy retreat, the festival can be organized. So only that you can have an opportunity to perform the Kaṭhina ceremony. So I think that's all. If Venerable Sokchip want to have anything to add. Thank you, sister.
Thank you, Pante, for this elaboration. And I got the key term, when we're talking about Kaṭhina Dāna, you also mentioned about Kaṭhina Karma. And it seemed like there are 2 main things to consider. One is the offering, another one is the receiving. So those who offering will have receiving the merit from their offering, but it will be the responsibility of the monk, who receiving, and we can discuss later on further. Pante TV, if you have anything to add on this, please. But I would like to also connect to second question, is that of course, when it comes to Kaṭhina Dāna, many of us may have heard of the word Kaṭhina Dāna, but may we recall the history of the first Kaṭhina and its rationale? Pante Kaspar earlier mentioned briefly, but I would like to dive deep further for you to help, recall the history of the first Kaṭhina and how it relevant up to this point. Please, Pante.
My homage to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and my great respect to Venerable Kaspar, co-speaker. Greeting all friends in Dharma around the world, and greeting Sister Chasupip, Sister Bobka. Good morning from Hawaii. It's 3:13 a.m. in the morning, and happy early Kaṭhina Dāna ceremony to every Buddhist around the world. After Chumban has just finished, now we come to another Buddhist celebration of the year. Actually, it is the biggest Buddhist celebration of the year. Each and every year we celebrate this Kaṭhina Dāna, and it is a purely and uniquely Buddhist ceremony. It's very unique Buddhist ceremony that the Buddha allowed by himself in the purpose of rewarding the monk who have spent 3 months retreat, 3 months vasa, for their serious practices without wandering, going anywhere in, especially just traveling around randomly or without any purpose. So like Venerable Gaspar already mentioned the historical background, the cause that lead to promulgation of the Vassa. And again, as your question asked, that the history, also the how the first Kaṭhina has organized in the time of the Buddha. As far as I remember, according to the Vinaya or Kaṭhina Khandaka in the Vinaya Pitaka, it talks about the King Pasenati who, after listening to the Buddha's permission for the monks to receive Kaṭhina Dāna, and then the King Pasenati was the first lay person who started to organize the Kaṭhina ceremony and offering to the Sangha. And that time, having Venerable Maha Gajayanatha, who managed the Sangha Karma in that time, and then the Buddha was the Dhamma speaker in that event. The Buddha gave the Dhamma talk and praised the anisangsa, the benefit of the person who offer Kaṭhina, which we call the donors, who also will gain 5 anisangsa by offering Kaṭhina Dāna. Again, the receiver also can receive 5 anisangsa from receiving Kaṭhina Dāna as well, which make this very unique, very special event. Normally, in any other ceremony, the person who will receive great merit is only the donors, the doer. But in this special celebration that allowed by the Buddha, both the donors and the receiver will have their respective 5 benefits from their, donation and from their receiving of Kaṭhina Dāna. So just let me go briefly. I just want to add more. Actually, Venerable Gaspar already covered the basic idea around Kaṭhina Dāna. I would like to just add some more information that Kaṭhina Dāna is the seasonal offering, what we call a timely occasion. We don't just celebrate Kaṭhina Dāna every time, everywhere as we want, but Kaṭhina Dāna has its own, days, specific date. So it can only be done within 29 days, starting from what we call in Khmer, Muroi Khai, Soj Dal Dapram Khai Kadak. It's only in between these 29 days that we can celebrate Kaṭhina Dāna. So just only 1 month. And so it's very short for people living abroad, because they only can make time during the weekend. Like in the case of America, we only have 4 weekends. So the lay devotees, they can join at most only 4 temples during Kaṭhina in USA, because they can only go to during the weekend. But for people in Cambodia, maybe we may have more time to go to a lot more different temples. And what I want to say is that Kaṭhina Dāna is a Kala Dāna, right? We can consider as Kala Dāna too, because it is the timely event. It happens based on specific dates. And again, we have to remember that what's the reason behind this event, why the Buddha allowed it. So when Gaspar already raised about the problem, because the monk having difficulty, and in the Buddha's time, the monk used very limited robes, and mostly the robe they pick up from different places that have been thrown away, and they took it, they pick up from dust that is called Bangsukula Jivo, Bangsukula Jivara. But later on, the Buddha allowed the monks to receive the Kahapati Jivara, which means the donation from the people. And later onward, because of the difficulties of the monk traveling from place to place, so the Buddha allowed the monk to accept extra more robes. In this case, seeing that the monk have devoted their 3-month practices during Vasa, so the Buddha give reward to those monks who have undertaken or the observance of 3-month rain retreat without any break, so they can receive the 5 benefit of Kaṭhina Dāna. So we can see that the 3-month rain retreat or the 3-month Vasa is the cause of Kaṭhina Dāna. Without the monks entering Vasa, so there will be no Kaṭhina Dāna. So Kaṭhina Dāna is the Vinaya-based event. So it is to uphold disciplinary rules of the Buddhism as well. When everyone join to celebrate Kaṭhina Dāna, it also helps to prolong the lifespan of the Buddha Vinaya. So Vinaya is the root cause of the Buddha dispensation. If we practice Vinaya, it means we also support the lifetime of the Buddha Sasana. I want to mention 5 specific or special, we can say 5 unique characteristics of the Kaṭhina Dāna that distinguish this event, this ceremony from any other ceremonies in Buddhism. So first, Kaṭhina Dāna is very unique according to its own specific time, like I already mentioned, because it only can be celebrated during the 29 days. And secondly, it is distinguished from other ceremony because of its receiver. So the receiver of the Kaṭhina Dāna only for bhikkhus, like the bhikkhu can share with the samanera, with the novice monk, but in order to make Kaṭhina fully fulfilled, only the bhikkhus, fully ordained monks who have spent their 3 months rain retreat without any bleach, then they can be able to receive the Kaṭhina Dāna from the lay devotees. So that's why it is very unique based on receiver. Not everybody can receive Kaṭhina Dāna offered by the lay devotee. Only the bhikkhu who have spent 3 months rain retreat. Thirdly, it is specific by its materials. So materials that can be called as a Kaṭhina Jivara. It can be, any one of the 3 robes that the monk normally use. So normally we have a Saṅkhādi that is called a Saṅkhedai, that is called the outer robe. The monks put normally in Cambodia the double robes or the outer robe. And then another one is the Uttara Saṅkha Jivara. It is the upper robe. And the third one is the Andravasaka. Andravasaka is the monks wear it, it's like we call the inner robe, right? Or the lower robe, inner robe or the lower robe of the monks. So these are the 3 important robes of the Buddhist monk. And as a lay devotee, you can choose, you don't need to buy all the 3 kinds of robes. You can buy either of them and then, offer to the monks, and the monk will take it and perform their Saṅkha Karma in order to receive as a Kaṭhina Dāna. So number 4, it is very specific based on its performance. So performance, which means the karma, the kicca, the karma that is performed by the Saṅkha, has to be based on Vinaya, and the monk has to be very skillful in performing the Vinaya, duties based on what the Buddha taught. That's why Kaṭhina Dāna is very strongly uphold and support the Buddha Vinaya. If the monks do not know the Vinaya well, so they cannot make success in doing Kaṭhina Dāna. That is why it is very what we call it is a Vinaya-based ceremony. And finally, the fifth reason is the benefits. What is very specific in this Kaṭhina Dāna is a benefit. So the donors also can get the 5 benefits. Then the receiver, the monks, Badikahaka, also can receive the 5 benefits, which makes it very unique and very different from any other celebration in Buddhism. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bhante, for detailed, explanation on the history of the first Kaṭhina, and also highlighting the 5 benefits. And yeah, we learn a lot, and I hope our audience who are now following have learned the same. And again, our topic now is about Kaṭhina Dāna. So if you have any question or comment you want to join with us, feel free to drop in our comment box. So come back before we move to next question. I just want Bhante TV a little bit more explaining, because I got the on the second point, when you mentioned that the specific about this ceremony is that the receiver is only the bhikkhu who spends 3 months with Ren retreat without bliss. Can you explain a bit further how the monks spend 3 months in Ren retreat, and what kind of bliss that the monk may have within these 3 months? Please, Bhante.
Yeah, so normally in our Cambodian tradition, we are aware that during Vasa, the monks do not spend the night outside the monastery compound where they have observed to enter for the whole 3 months. So that's what we talk about, entering 3 months without any bleach. So if they break the rule, like if they went somewhere without permission or without asking permission from the Sangha, and then they can break this rule. So if they break the rule by spending the night outside the temple compound, then they will not be, accessible, or they will not be acceptable to receive the Kaṭhina Dāna. Talking like that, we also have the exceptional rule. The Buddha laid down this Vinaya because there's a reason, and also there's an exception. There's always an exception to any rule. So suggesting that if the monk has an emergency, like special invitation from the lay devotee, okay, maybe you want to invite a monk for your ceremony, or maybe any of the monk's relatives, let's say the monk's parent getting sick, so you heard the news and you want to go visit your parent, then you can ask permission. And they have the Pali verses, the Pali phrases in order to ask for permission. If there's no any danger happen to me, I shall return in the 6th day, or in the 7 days before the sunrise. You have to enter the monastery compound before the sunrise on the day 7. So it's about like you can spend, if you ask the permission to spend the night outside, you can stay outside at least for 6 nights, and then the day 7 you have to return, enter the temple before the sunrise, and then you're not breaking the rule. That is the exception in the Vinaya.
I see. Thank you, Bhante, for this explanation, because I was wondering a bit further. And maybe either Bhante Kassapa or Bhante TV, I have another wondering question. If this Kaṭhina Dāna is only celebrated in Cambodia, or any Buddhist monk would celebrate it worldwide? Please, Bhante, maybe Bhante Kassapa, since you spend a lot of time in Sri Lanka, maybe you have other experience to share, please.
Thank you, sister, for the question. Yes, Kaṭhina ceremony or the robe offering ceremony is mainly uh, organized and performed by only the monks or devotees who practice the Theravadic Buddhism. Besides that, Mahayana, Vajrayana, they don't have kinds of ceremony called Kaṭhina, but there is something that like that, but they don't have kinds of practices like us. And as Venerable Saktivi said, this Kaṭhina ceremony, in fact, in reality, it is a Vinaya-based ceremony. I mean, there are many, I call it ceremonial activities are added and have been added bit by bit by our devotees to decorate the ceremony to be more attractive. But in fact, in reality, it's just about having the robe to offer to the monks. That the point. In Sri Lanka, yes, as I mentioned earlier, this particular ceremony is celebrated and performed by only the devotees who practice Theravada Buddhism, and mainly in Cambodia, in Sri Lanka, in Burma, in Thailand, in Laos, and in Sri Lanka. Besides those countries, it is performed all over the world, but as I mentioned, only by the Buddhists who practice Theravada tradition, like even in Singapore, even in Malaysia, even in Taiwan, even in Japan, China, Russia, or any parts of Europe or United States. If you practice Theravada tradition, you will organize, you will perform the Kaṭhina ceremony. So that's all, my sisters.
Thank you, Bhante, for sharing this, experience from other countries. Connecting to that, Bhante TV mentioned a little bit earlier about the uniqueness of Kaṭhina, compared to other ceremony. But I'm still wondering, Bhante Kaspar, about between Kaṭhina Dāna and the four requisite, or we call Chatopachai ceremony. So, what is the difference, and what make Kaṭhina Dāna special, and what is the iconic aspect of Kaṭhina from your perspective, please, Bhante? We could not hear you, Bhante.
Sorry.
Yes.
So the iconic sign or factor of Kaṭhina ceremony is, as I mentioned earlier, is the Vinaya-based ceremony. So the purpose is about spiritual development. That the first thing is, you mean the main point is not just only offering the robe. It's about develop your spiritual quality, kinds of, obedient to the rules and remain in the temple for 3 months, as Honorable Saktivi mentioned, that without breaking the rule, and make yourself, suitable, make yourself worthy to be offered. Make yourself to be worthy of offering the robe, and another point is this ceremony that, like as I mentioned, if when we use the word Kaṭhina or robe offering, but in today's society, people make it more, how to say that, make it more self-oriented ceremony that it's more a little bit materialistic, that the purpose is just to, I'm sorry to that, just to only collect the fund or rest of fund for different purposes, like to maintain the temple, to pay the bill, water bill, electricity bill, or construction. I'm not saying they are wrong, but what I'm saying that we forget the key purpose of Kaṭhina ceremony. That, I mean, the original source of practicing Kaṭhina ceremony is this, but we move beyond that to do something else. Forget this, and so that is why they add more kinds of requisites, this and that. But even in Buddha's time, even we say the word, Kaṭhina, of offering the robe, but on that day, it's natural. It's automatically happen that the devotees will bring the 4 requisites, the robe and the arms, and sometimes, yes, during that day they will, build the small huts for the monk to stay for meditation, and they bring, the medicine every day. So these are the 4 requisites, but the term pachai is well known in Cambodia, in terms of money. I'm not saying it's wrong, but what I want to say, you can use it for that, but don't forget the core, philosophy of Kaṭhina ceremony. So from my understanding, the iconic, character of the Kaṭhina ceremony is about monk's duty, monk responsibility, and from another perspective is a ceremony that connect the spirituality between the devotees and monk. So, like, let us cultivate our spirituality together during the 3 months, and on the day of Kaṭhina, it kinds of opening ceremony that we have done it so well for 3 months. So it's about spirituality from my understanding. But do those things, I'm saying that's not wrong, but you have to know the way how to do it, not to destroy the core philosophy of Kaṭhina. So that's all, Sister Joseph, from me.
Thank you so much, Conte. And you mentioned a little bit earlier about, like the modern celebration now become a bit materialistic, and it connects to my next question. And before I refer that question, let me remind our audience that we are now discussing about Kaṭhina Dāna. So if you have any comment, question, feel free to drop in comment box. So back to Ponte TV. Of course, like as we observe, celebrating Kaṭhina Dāna seem or become costly among many people in modern day, and affordable mostly those who are better off, or we can say those who are rich. How would you have opinion about that? Do you agree, and also any advice on the celebration so that everyone can take part in this special occasion, Pante?
Yeah, everyone can take part if we know the historical background, how Kaṭhina can be done, and the requirement of Kaṭhina. Then we will not worry about having little money or much money, or having a lot of materials in order to perform Kaṭhina. What we've been doing in the modern day is now based on our own tradition. People do generation to another, they just follow each other, but some they understand, some they do not understand. For those who understand, they think they will offer whatever they have, according based on their devotion, their saddha. Then they would delight to offer anything to the monk as they want. But for some who do not understand, they think that oh, in order to celebrate Kaṭhina, you must have this much amount of money, otherwise you cannot become the chief of donors. So now there's a problem between becoming a chief, the head organizer, or the maybe vice organizer, something like that. So it becomes like having a position in doing Dāna as well. If we consider about this, I think we Buddhists should learn the Vinaya. That is why this Kaṭhina Dāna is a Vinaya-based ceremony, that the Buddha's intention not to make people difficult and not to have people, spend much money just for the cost of celebrating the event. So the real purpose, the key intention that the Buddha won was to, present the gift to the monks who spent 3 months rain retreat. So the gift actually in that time was the robe offering. That's why we call Kaṭhina Dāna. We consider, even though Kaṭhina is not translated as a robe, but the idea, we understand that Kaṭhina Dāna is the robe offering ceremony. You search, you listen. In any other Theravada tradition, especially in the United States of America, a lot of American monks, they also, receive Kaṭhina Dāna, and you will see their post on social media. It's also a robe offering ceremony. It's not a money offering ceremony. So maybe in our idea, based on our Cambodian tradition, we think that to be able to celebrate Kaṭhina Dāna, we must spend a lot of money, buying a lot of things, to offer to the temple. Especially they have money adding on to that, maybe $10,000, $100,000 as a for requisite to offer the temple. But let me say it's not a requirement, and it's not a demand from the monk as well, because the monks should not do that. Based on the Vinaya, even asking for Kaṭhina donation also cannot be done so by the monks. Otherwise the monks themselves will not be able to perform Kaṭhina Dāna. That's why it is very strictly Buddhist discipline. I think there's a reason why the Buddha already, prohibited or promulgated such a Vinaya in order to, in order to guard such incident may happen, because we know that as a Kaṭhina, as very ordinary people, even the monk, we also still have greed, attachment, desire for this and that. So generation after another, since the time of the Buddha, Kaṭhina Dāna has, evolved its shape and ways of celebrating, ways of performance. Nevertheless, we should not forget the key purpose of the Buddha, why he allowed Kaṭhina Dāna for the donors and for the monk to receive. So let me just give a recap. So it's about the 3-month rain retreat, and then the monk allow the reward or the gift for the monks, and that's all, not concerning any more materials or more money.
Thank you so much, Ponte. I hope our audience can get better understanding the core value of celebrating the Kaṭhina Dāna, because yes, now they become more like showing off, or like competition to be, this Kaṭhina is bigger than the other. So yeah, I think importantly is looking at the Vinaya-based ceremony. There are also other misunderstanding. Like some people may misunderstand that young people should not celebrate Kaṭhina Dāna in fear of having shortened the lifespan, or like if you are young and you celebrate it, you will not live longer. So and with other concern, when young doing so. So any remark about this, Ponte Kassapa? Is there any age restriction in celebrating Kaṭhina?
No, what my answer is no, but there are many rumors, there are many stereotypes, there are many misunderstandings, there are many misconceptualization regarding Buddhist ceremony. Not only Kaṭhina, I think, because we were young and we were informed like this, like that, in different ways. Even the inauguration ceremony of Vihara in Khmer, you call it Bon Saima, where we hear, there are many misunderstandings that there is a clash between the same age. If you are a cow, you cannot stay together with the person who born on the cow's year. There is a clash, there is a misfortune, a lot of stuff. What I want to say, there are many misconceptualization regarding to Buddhist ceremony, but fortunately this day the young generation have more access to to the Dhamma, listen, discussing. So they got many opportunity, and now they transform their misunderstanding to right understanding that there is no such thing in Buddhism. What the Buddha appreciate is young generation. You must come forward. You don't be heedless. You must come now to understand, to practice Buddhism. And Buddha also condemned that all people, are hard to understand Buddhism. They are hard. Their senses are tough, to absorb the knowledge of Buddhism, because Buddhism is not that easy philosophy to absorb. So he appreciated the young generation, the educated one, to come to practice Buddhism. So from that point of view, anyone at any age can come to perform Kaṭhina ceremony. There is no barrier, there is no obstacle. The obstacle only comes for the wrong social awareness. So now you understand Buddhism, now you learn a lot. So my recommendation is, please come to collect merit, even you are young. It's a good time for you to come and practice Buddhism. So that's all from my sister.
I want to have a question for you, because I see many people, they raise about this problem to the monk, especially now social media era. We see that some monks, they do not ask directly for donations for Kaṭhina in their own temple. But what about the monks? We posting the information, inviting, in stating that all of you are invited to offer Kaṭhina Dāna in this temple or that temple. Is that consider, a request to the lay devotees that consider breaking the Vinaya? We use social media, right? We don't do verbally, but we use the social media. But in the same way, we also asking. So is that consider breaking Vinaya too in that case?
Okay, so if the page is, managed by the lay people or organizing committee of the monastery, the posting is not again the Vinaya. But if there is a monk, encourage them or inform them, or by giving them the hint, that monk is breaking the rule. But it doesn't mean that Kaṭhina ceremony can't be organized. It can be organized because there are many monks who observe the rule properly. For example, if I break the rule, as you said, if I inform the people directly or indirectly, or by using any kinds of glue or any kinds of hint, that on this day the Kaṭhina ceremony will be celebrated at my monastery. If I break the rule, the thing is, I'm not worthy of being offered the robe, or I'm not worthy to have any kinds of prerequisite of offered during the Kaṭhina ceremony. It means that I'm not allowed even to enter the shrine, to accept all the stuff offered by devotees. So, but if we are posting on our own account, for example, I post on my own account informing this day that the Vipassana Dura will celebrate the Kaṭhina, I'm breaking the rule. I'm breaking the rule. Even not just posting. Even you say that, hello, how are you? Don't you come to my are you okay to come to my Kaṭhina, or you say that, or Nyom in Khmer, I'm sorry to say that. Like you can say, okay, now it's about to complete the rainy retreat. I think monks need robes. So it kinds of that also wrong, because people will ask, okay, when is your day? When is your Kaṭhina day of your temple? Like it kinds of motivating people to come to your temple. So with that intention, you are breaking the rule. But what I want people to understand is, if 2 months or 3 months breaking the rule, it doesn't mean that monastery can't organize the Kaṭhina. It's possible to organize, but the thing is that those monks are not suitable to receive the 4 requisites. But something happened like that. And sometimes, I'm sorry to say that it might be a bad intention. Some monks, I use the word some monks, they don't observe the Kaṭhina, and I'm sorry, they don't observe the rainy retreat. Sometimes they observe we call it, how to say that, post rainy retreat.
The second
one. So with the purpose, that they have the ability, to inform the people. Sometimes people.
I think Ponte internet is freezing. Can you hear Ponte Gaspar? No? Oh, I think his internet have problems. So maybe connecting to that, I would like to hear from your opinion too, since you asked that question. Do you have any suggestion?
He's right. Because the Buddha not allow the monks to ask for Kaṭhina for their own temple, like the place where they have entered 3 months retreat. If they do so, the monk themselves cannot join in the Sangha Kamma. It doesn't mean that the monk cannot receive the benefit from that, or the monk cannot receive the benefit from that because they were not able to perform the Sangha Kamma with other monks, But for the materials offering, so the other monk who have a right to perform the Sangha Kamma, they can share, talking about that, like for the novice monks, Samanera as well, even though the receiver are supposed to be only the bhikkhus who can perform the Sangha Kamma, so they have priority to share whatever they want to this person or that person, because the bhikkhus like the owner of the offering, after having received that from the donors, so the bhikkhu along with other bhikkhus, let's say all bhikkhus in the temple who have spent 3 months rain retreat, they have priority to manage their robes or any other materials offered by the lay devotee. And for those monks who breaking the vasa or the rules, and the samanera also, if the bhikkhus they are kind enough, then they can share the materials offering with other monks and novices. Then that doesn't matter. And with the social media thing, it's just the same way. If we don't if we don't speak out verbally, but we use social media in deep, kind of writing, it's the same way. If you console people, inviting people to come directly for your own temple like that, so it goes again the Vinaya So if any other person other than you, like the lady devotee who are responsible for that page, is hosting and inviting, so it doesn't matter because it's not concerned with the monks,
The context. In that case, is about posting thing within the monk pagoda. But what if he posts for different temple?
That's fine. Yeah, that's
Is
fine.
it fine?
Providing that if they ask for Kaṭhina for their own temple where they spend 3 months rain retreat, like for their own benefit, it will break Vinaya. But if the monks want to, organize it for any other temple other than his, then it's fine because the Buddha also encouraged the bhikkhu to do Kaṭhina. So donors can be a lay devotee or can be a monk. They can be donors of Kaṭhina Dāna too.
I see. Thank you so much, Conte, for this further information that we all can learn. And given the time as well, now we come to the end. But before we end, we would like to have the final message from both Dhamma speakers. So first, Conte Kasapak, do you have any message to our audience on this special occasion? Conte?
Okay, sister. So we have been discussing about the suitability and unsuitability of performing a Kaṭhina ceremony, but the thing is, it doesn't belong to devotees. It's monk's responsibility. So, for example, Sister Josephine wanted to bring some robe or to offer some robe to any temple, and you were told that and you were told and you heard and you know exactly that some monks there are not worthy of being offered the robe. You know that they broke the rule and so on. Their story, it's their story. Okay, it's their responsibility. You are able to offer the robe, and the merits will come back to you. That's what I want to say to our people. That in Khmer we call it Kaṭhina. It's not. It kinds of the Kaṭhina won't be. I use the word won't be worthy. How any technical term for that?
Like it's not cannot be completely successfully fulfilled or completed. Yeah.
It's the word like, but it's not the devotee's issue. It's monk issue. That I want people to understand that. So you are still suitable. You deserve to do Kaṭhina at any temple, at any monastery. So the Sangakam or Kaṭhinakam belong to the monks. That is what you have to understand. That's I want to emphasize that to our devotee to understand. It's don't worry, the merits will be back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Conte. So the key term is, the donor and the receiver. I learned the key term for today, and the merit for both to the donor and to the receiver. So, Ponte TV, the floor is yours for final message, please.
Yeah, for Kaṭhina ceremony, as we already mentioned, the key points around this timely seasonal offering, we have to learn more and pay attention more to the Vinaya, not only for the monks, specifically it's for the monks to be able to perform the Sangakama that can be called as a Kaṭhina Dāna. So it's the matter of the monk. But your own responsibility is just try to learn more of the intention or the cause of Kaṭhina Dāna, why we celebrate this. So if you already learn that, okay, my purpose as a devotee is to support the monk any way that you can, not necessarily be a lot of money for the temple. It's not a must, it's not a requirement by the monks. Based on your own sattha, your own devotion and volition. There's no force in Buddha's teaching. Anything should be done volitionally, intentionally, based on our sattha. So should not be forced and should not be a request from anyone, and should not just follow anyone, rumors and hearsays or tradition that we see now. This celebration has become more like traditional things, but we should consider that whatever we do based on our tradition, but should not go against the Vinaya of the Buddha. That is the real purpose of celebrating and allowing Kaṭhina Dāna by the Buddha himself to, specifically for the monk in order to learn and understand and be abide by the Vinaya that laid down in the teaching of the Buddha for bhikkhus. So this is more important than just receiving the donation from lay devotees. So I would conclude my speech today. Happy Kaṭhina Dāna to everyone. May all the donors rejoice in the merit. May you all be happy. Be well. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante, for beautiful final message. So we would like to thank to both Dhamma speaker for joining with us tonight. And before we end our live show, I would also like to share the merit from this Dhamma Sandhana with all living beings in the whole universe. May all be happy and peaceful. Once again, thank you so much to our honorable speaker for sharing with us tonight. Finally, I would like to express sincere thanks to Dhammika Live's team, the founder, directors, advisors, member, admin, and technical team, especially for providing such a wonderful support. Without their behind the scenes support, our live show would not be possible. Last but not least, thank you everyone for joining and following our live show as always. Now let us spend a moment practicing Metta Bhavana or loving kindness meditation, which will be instructed by Bhante Kassapa on camera. Thank you and goodbye. Our Metta meditation begins.
Hello everyone. Let us practice loving friendliness meditation for oneself. Self-loving friendliness meditation is the first section of Metta meditation. Self-loving friendliness meditation is designed to direct you to happily take care of yourself, to honestly forgive yourself, to truly accept yourself without conditions. Before starting, please find a very comfortable posture. Close your eyes. Relax your head, your shoulders, your arms, and your entire body. Please slowly take a very deep breath 3 times. When it is done, let your breath flow as naturally as it does. Observe your breath without judgment, reactions, and criticism. Just merely observe it as the way it is while you are listening to my Pali Metta chanting. Aham Now, please create a very tender smile on your face. Visualize your happy and smiling face. You are very happy person with smiling face. Please keep smiling with honest heart, because you are going to bless yourself. Please be aware of the phrases which I am going to recite, and let yourself honestly feel the real meanings of the phrases. May I be well and happy. May I be free from hatred. May I be free from ill will. May I be free from anger. May I be free from physical and mental sufferings. May I take care of myself happily. May I take care of myself happily. May I take care of myself happily. Now, take your right hand and place it on your chest, and you can mentally repeat after me. In this home, we are family. We live under the same shelter. So we must be kind to each other, be compassionate to each other, be friendly to each other, help each other, respect one another. Be happy every day. Keep smiling with honest heart. Be grateful. Be positive. Forgive even when it's really hard. Before open your eyes, please take again a very deep breath 3 times. Thank you. May you be well and happy.